Good afternoon. Welcome to today's Charity Village webinar. We will just be a moment for everyone to join. Okay, we will just get started. Welcome to today's Charity Village webinar. My name is Mercedes Mara, and I'm the Marketing and Communication Specialist with Charity Village. As we are gathering here on a virtual platform, it is important to acknowledge that each of us is joining this webinar from the ancestral or unceded lands of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nation people. As a settler on this land, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you today from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Anishinaabe, which includes the Ojibwe of Fort William First Nation. Before we start today's webinar, I'd like to do a few introductions and quickly run through some housekeeping items. For those who may be joining a Charity Village webinar for the first time, Charity Village is Canada's largest online job board for the nonprofit sector. In addition to our online job board, organizations can also post volunteer positions. So if you're looking for work or to recruit talent in the sector, Charity Village is the place to start. We also have a ton of excellent resources for nonprofit professionals, including online courses, articles, fundraising tools, and free webinars like the one we are presenting today. Before I introduce our speakers, I will quickly run through some housekeeping items. You may have noticed when you joined the webinar today that you were automatically put on mute. Since we have hundreds of participants in today's webinar, it is important for us to minimize the amount of background noise so everyone can clearly hear the presentation. But you can still ask questions and make comments using the question box at the bottom of the Zoom control panel. Look for that at the bottom of your screen. We will be taking questions at the end of the webinar, so please submit your questions as you think of them, and we will do our best to get to as many as possible. You can also email your questions to webinars@charityvillage.com. If you happen to encounter any technical issues with the webinar, whether with viewing the presentation or with the audio, please let us know in the question box or by sending us an email. We will do our best to get any technical difficulties resolved as quickly as possible, but in a worst case scenario, please remember that we are recording today's webinar and we will send you the full recording by email tomorrow. So if you get called away or disconnected, you will still be able to view the full presentation. And with that, I'd like to welcome our presenters, Ashley Gatewood, Communications and Marketing Director at CFRE International, and Judy Zhu, Executive Director at Eagle Ridge Hospital Foundation. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mercedes. All right, so I will go ahead and jump in if that's good, Mercedes. Are we all good on the housekeeping?
Yes, sounds great. Thank you so much. Take it away.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here today. We really appreciate it. I'm the Communications and Marketing Director at CFRE International, and I'm going to start today with a land acknowledgement that we are on the ancestral lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Tohono O'odham, and Yaqui peoples. So we're going to begin today with a quick poll asking if you have started a CFRE application. So I'm going to launch this poll and just tell us yes or no if you have had a chance to begin your application. All right, and awesome. Lots of responses coming in. I'm going to close the poll in 3 seconds. In 3, 2, 1. All right, so this is pretty interesting. We have about 87% of people have not yet started their application. So you're in the right place, whether you have or you haven't, but it's great to see the interest all around. Very good stuff. Okay, so back into the deck. So what is the CFRE Credential? You've probably seen those 4 letters after people's names, CFRE, and wondered, well, what does that really stand for? What's the benefit of that? So we're the only globally recognized accredited credential for fundraising professionals. So if you work in Vancouver, but you have donors in Miami, right, the CFRE means the same thing across borders. If you end up landing some incredible job in Australia, the CFRE is recognized there as well. So this is not a credential that is American or North American or any specific geographical area. We are global. We've been around for over 40 years, and we are here for we are grounded in best practice ethical fundraising. So ethical fundraising is what informs our mandate and what we want to see out in the world. We all want to think that everybody is ethically fundraising all the time. I worked in an organization about 15 years ago where my coworker in development stole 1.5 to 4 million US dollars. They never got to the bottom of exactly how much. Unfortunately, we know that these things do happen, and it is very important that we show we are operating ethically at every turn. Our donors expect that too. So people may think, well, Ashley, I've got a lot going on. Why would I want to prioritize becoming a CFRE now? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is recruiters. We hear all the time from people who become a CFRE that say, within a week of earning my CFRE, I had recruiters calling me, and that didn't happen before I had earned the credential. Recession ready. I feel like every other week we hear we're going to have a recession or we're not going to have a recession, but it's always best to prepare. If you are concerned that perhaps your position may not be secure in the event of a recession, or if you think maybe your teammates might not be, and you may be asked to step into their roles and take on some new areas of development, having your CFRE in your back pocket is a great benefit. You will have more confidence to do that, but your fundraising skill set will be more well-rounded that will allow you to step into these other areas that you may not have directly worked in previously. I always say you don't want to become a CFRE when you need to become a CFRE, right? If you find yourself on the job hunt tomorrow, you don't want to start working towards your CFRE then. You want to already have it in your back pocket. CFREs report greater recognition from colleagues, which is always something important. We want to build our credibility within our own teams and organizations. It reflects achievement. It's a voluntary credential, so it shows that you are a person who goes the extra mile, who is a lifelong learner, right? And that's one thing that helps set CFREs apart. It's people are showing that they have invested in their own fundraising knowledge. We hear this all the time. We do a survey every other year. People tell us that they do genuinely believe that the CFRE process has helped them shore up their fundraising skill sets. It created a pathway for them to learn about areas of development that they were previously not familiar with, and so now they feel more confident. And it also shows commitment to the profession. We know that unfortunately, people do cycle in and out of this profession, but CFREs have made the commitment for the long haul, right? They've decided that they're going to attain this credential. They're going to demonstrate that they have mastery of ethical best practice fundraising. All right, so just real quickly, some of the benefits, and then we'll kind of get into the process, because the CFRE does take time and effort, right? This isn't a 5-minute event. You want to be sure that you're getting something out of it. So we did a certificate survey in 2021. We run every other year, and this is what we found. So 84% of CFREs told us that the credential positively impacted their earning potential. 89% said it provided enhanced professional opportunities, and 92% said it increased on-the-job confidence. But I really want to take a minute here to talk about that first one, about the enhanced earning potential. It's not uncommon that we start a job and we get in, and after a few weeks or months, we realize that when we were negotiating, we left money on the table. Or maybe we're on a job hunt and for whatever reason, we really need to jump our salary up. Okay. If you are looking to boost your salary, the CFRE is an incredibly tangible way to help you with that. I spoke to a CFRE at AFP Congress in November who told me that since she became a CFRE a year prior, her salary had doubled. I don't think that's typical, but I think it's possible. It happened for her. But what we have data from is the AFP compensation and benefits report from last year, right? And that report found that CFREs earn 5 to 16% more than their non-certified colleagues. with comparable background experience, so years in the profession. That's a great number. I mean, think about what your paycheck is, and then now think about what it would be like if that number were lifted by 5 to 16%. That would be pretty great, right? All right. And as Mercedes said in her intro, we're very fortunate to have with us today Judy Zhu, who is a CFRE based in Vancouver. And Judy is going to talk a little bit to this slide about the career benefits that she has experienced as a result of earning her CFRE. So hi, Judy.
Hi, Ashley. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And I will turn this over to you to take it away.
Absolutely. Well, before I begin, I would like to acknowledge with respect and gratitude that I'm coming to you today on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of Coquitlam First Nation. We thank the Coquitlam who continue to live on these lands and care for them, along with the water and all that is above and below. So thank you for having me today. I'm truly, since I became as a CFRE in year 2020, this is something that I'm really proud of for my entire fundraising career. So, it's interesting that we're talking about benefit because I truly feel a huge benefit since I became CFRE. So career advancement. So for those of you, if you ever check out my LinkedIn, you'll see I actually move really fast from coordinator to officer to manager to director and to where I am today as executive director to manage a nonprofit organization. So I think, I couldn't agree more when Ashley said you will get calls and private messages from those recruiters on your LinkedIn and to your email to ask you, hey, I saw you have this new credential. Would you be interested for those new positions or career advanced positions? So those are really true. So I would say to one of the negotiation tool that when you negotiate with your employers or when you negotiate with your current managers, CFRE is definitely a great tool to use, and when you're in that situation. And then secondly, I really think CFRE would boost donor confidence and establish professional credibility as well. So I had experience where a donor know nothing about fundraising. They don't know what CFRE stand for. But when I had that face-to-face meeting with him and he said, well, good for you, Judy, you have CFRE. I said, wow, I'm impressive that you know about this credential. And he said, yeah, I Googled. So because I leave that on my email signature, and he said, yeah, I Googled and I just realized this is actually international recognized credential. So it's truly boosts donors' trust. And after you've studied the entire process, later Ashley's going to talk about all the domains and all the areas. So pretty much CFRE, the entire process to give you an overall overview about fundraising, although you may not necessarily work in every different, every single areas of fundraisings, but the study, the knowledge domains actually bring you to every single corner of fundraising career. And lastly, but not least, it truly increase your self-esteem and also gain respect from peers. Well, I feel like this is our fundraising world. I'm comfortable to open it up. When I first came to Canada, I was born and raised in China. When I first came to Canada, one of the things not really not bother me, but it just really bother my self-esteem is language barrier. So when I first came here, I want to become a fundraiser. I want to, work in a communication world. People would say to me, Judy, you can't even speak English perfectly. How do you do fundraising? How do you communicate properly? So, those really hurt my self-esteem. But, after all the education background and after I gained my CFRE, I realized the knowledge, the credits that CFRE gave you will boost my self-esteem and have boosted my self-esteem in a great way. And also gain a truly great impact from my peers, peers in my fundraising world and peers in my professional world as well. So yeah, there's still many benefits. Actually, I only allowed to say 3, but I think the benefits of CFRE is more than just 3 benefits.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Judy. I appreciate it. And we will hear from you a little bit later today. All right. So back to our slide deck there. So there's just 2 steps to become a CFRE. One is to complete our online application, and 2 is to pass the CFRE exam. The application is looking at your achievements in this field over the last 5 years. So right now we're looking at January 1, 2018 forward. The application itself will not expire. So if you started an application with us in 2017, we still have it. Just know that, or if you start it today and something happens and you don't log into it for a year and a half, we will still have it. The application itself does not expire. You don't have to fill out this application in one go. You can log in and out of it as much as you like, and we recommend that you start it early. So on our homepage, there are 2 places that you can start your application. However, right now our database is offline. So when Mercedes sends information at the end of this webinar, I'm going to share with you my email. And if you want to get a notification when the applications are back up on February 10th, shoot me your email and then I will let you know on February 10th so you can jump in and get cooking with it. We have 3 main parts of the application. The first is education, and it's a points-based application, and you need 80 points. And you're probably thinking, thanks, Ashley, what the heck is a point? So there are different ways to earn these points. The primary way is through fundraising education. This is you either attending or presenting fundraising education. You earn 1 point for every hour you're in a session. So you go on a 1-hour webinar about major gifts, that's 1 point. You go on a 4-hour workshop where there's 4 hours of actual instruction time on corporate philanthropy, 4 points, right? Super easy. If you ever present fundraising education, you will earn yourself 2 points per hour with existing material. If you're not a presenter, that's just not your bag, that's totally fine. There's no requirement you have to present, but just know that you will bank up points that much faster if you do. And the first time you present a new fundraising session, we award 3 points per hour to take into account your time researching and putting that material together. We also can award points for your academic degrees. You don't have to have an academic degree. So if you don't have one, that's completely fine. But know that if you do have an academic degree, you will earn 10 points for the ones you see here on your screen and 5 points for associates, which would be like a community college, right? We can take up to a maximum of 40 points for your academic degrees. So if you have 4 master's degrees, that's great, but we've got to cut you off at 40 points from degrees. I told you earlier, just the other slide, that we're looking at 2018 forward. The only exception to this is academic degrees. If you have a bachelor's in French literature from 2001, that's 10 points. Any year, any major. This is the only item that is not bound by the 5-year rule. We can also award points for relevant non-fundraising education. And I have to say relevant because people submit all kinds of wacky stuff like chocolate making or yoga for fundraisers, but we need to see something that is more along the lines of, say, a leadership course, business writing, public speaking, something like that. We can take up to 10 points. We can also award points for your volunteer activities. Our term for volunteering is service learning. And if you volunteer, you can earn up to 10 points in the application from that. You earn 1 point per year per org that you're a volunteer. Okay, so let's say that you volunteered at a beach cleanup, 6 weekends in a summer. Perfect, you got yourself 1 point. If you're on a board or committee of a nonprofit, you will earn yourself 2 points per year per org. So let's say, for instance, you are on the local conference committee of your chapter of CAGP or AFP. You're going to earn yourself 2 points per year per org that you're a member of a committee or board. There is a ton of qualifying education out there, and I want to draw your attention to the fourth item on this list, the audio/video recordings of conferences. I'm a very frugal person. If you're a frugal person, this is the best way to get a bunch of education points for a very economical fee. If you register to go to a conference, right, you can only attend one session per time slot on the day, but they give you access to the recordings afterwards, and you can go back to your home or office and you can watch, 22 hours of these, say, one a lunch hour for a month or whatever you want to do, right? You will earn all those points off of one conference registration, right? So this is a way to really maximize your PD dollars if you want to get a lot of CFRE points at once. All right, and I'm just going to stop here for some questions and just see a few things that we've had come in. So someone has asked, I'm 30 years in nonprofits. Does it make sense to have the CFRE versus experience? Well, I think it depends what you want. Like Judy said, there's recruiters, there's people that are, working to lift their salary. I always think before retirement, you want to squeeze every dollar out of every paycheck that you have, right? This is your chance. If you've got 30 years in the sector, you're probably also thinking about how much longer you have here. Another thing that a lot of people do, if they haven't earned their CFRE, they'll actually earn it towards the end of their career because they don't want to full on quit the profession. They want to retire, but they want to also consult on the side, or they want to leave the avenue open to consult on the side. And CFREs and consultants go hand in hand. You will see so many consultants that have the CFRE after their name. So that's something to think about. Someone asked, does holding a training for my volunteer solicitors count? This does not count. If you are, if that's for your job, right? So if you're doing fundraising education, that's part of your job. Like we're going to train our team members on using the new database, right? That is not like Razor's Edge, right? That is not going to qualify because that's you doing your job. So unfortunately, that wouldn't count. But let's say if you go to a conference and you present a session on Gen Z donors, yep, that's going to qualify. All right. Let's see. So someone asks about maternity leave and how that works with the 5 years. So we're going to get into that in the next section. So I'm going to hold off on that. And then someone's asked, does college count? So college or university degrees, if you've got a bachelor's, master's, PhD, or JD, that's going to count as well as that community college degree. All right, so I'm going to wind up that Q&A and we'll jump back into our deck. All right, so how long have you been a fundraising professional? This may get a little crazy, but if you want to tell us in the chat how many years you've been fundraising, feel free. Or you can just keep that answer in your own mind if you like. But the reason why I ask is because you need to have worked for 36 months in the last 5 years in a paid professional fundraising role. So the maternity question somebody asked, right? We're looking at January 1, 2018 to today. So have you worked 36 months in that period? And that is what is going to qualify. Anytime prior to 2018 will not qualify. We're accredited, and so we have to be very conscious to have the same rules for everyone. So when we say 36 points for this section, all it means is 1 month equals a point. It couldn't be easier, right? Work 36 months, 36 points, you're ready to rock and roll. We look at full-time as at least 50% of your job must be fundraising. So if you are the communications and fundraising director, that's fine as long as half of your time at least is spent on fundraising. Now for consultants absolutely can earn their CFRE, but you have to have those months that we're counting, you must have a client for that month, right? If I say, hey, my name's Ashley Gatewood and I'm a fundraising consultant and it's February, but I don't land my first client until May, I have to count from May those months. I can't count from when I said that I was a consultant. Pro bono work totally qualifies. You just have to have a contract in place. All right. Now, this is the third and final part of the application we're going to look at today. This is professional performance, and this is you raising money. You need to have earned 55 points in the last 5 years, and 1 point equals 25,000 US dollars. And people always ask, why is this US dollars? And the reason it's our accrediting body only allows us to have one currency for global purposes, right? So we're not allowed to have one amount for Thai baht and one amount for New Zealand dollars. So if you're in a country outside the US, we have a currency converter inside. And if you're going, well, Ashley, you know, the exchange is not always in our favor when we're in Canada. We totally understand that. And you can earn points through management or communications projects. You can earn 5 points per project. I'm not going to go too far into that. There's a lot of great info on our website, but just know if you work in a smaller shop, or, you know, for some reason you can't make this requirement, which for the math geniuses on the call, you've worked out that it's 1.375 million US dollars in the last 5 years. Now, here is the beauty of this, that we know fundraising is a team sport. Let's say you are on a team at your work and you have a fundraising gala and it brings in $300,000. There's no way for you to say, well, so-and-so brought in 50,000 of that, and I brought in 62,000 of that, and the other person brought in this, right? When you're working together on a fundraising gala, a big event like that, you're going to take that full amount and claim that for yourself. Okay, so you do a marathon and it raises 425,000, you're on the team, you can claim that whole 425,000, right? You cannot claim if you sit next to someone who does legacies and you don't do legacies, and the legacy person goes, oh, I just closed a $500,000 legacy this morning. You can't take that, right? Because you didn't work on that. But for what you did work on, you can claim those funds. Now, the cost of this is 700 US dollars if you are a member of a participating organization, or 875 US dollars if you're not. Now, what is a participating organization? Well, we have relationships with 30 amazing organizations around the world. And if you're a member of any of these, you will get the 20% discount. So this includes AFP, AHP, Charitable Gift Planners, Canadian Association of Gift Planners. So just know if you're a member of any of those, you are eligible to get that 700 US dollar rate. If your fiscal year is coming up, I don't know if maybe you run on a July 1 or April 1 or whatever your organization does, it pays to have a conversation early with your boss about adding that money, that application fee money, to your PD budget. The fee includes everything around us reviewing your application, your testing fees. We're going to give you a digital badge when you become a CFRE, and it includes the printing and mailing of your certificate. If something happens and you need to resubmit your application, you will not be charged a second time. So if we find an error and the application has to go back to you for any reason, just know you will not have to pay to resubmit it. All right, we've got our next question break here, and let's see a couple other things that have come in. Okay, so someone says, I participated in several sessions a few years ago through an AFP chapter in Quebec. Would I need them to confirm my attendance? So not necessarily. So what we recommend is that you keep your registration confirmation emails as proof of your attendance. Credit card receipts also work. If we audit your application, we audit every 10th application, we would need to see something from the chapter, but usually they can supply a receipt, or, you know, if they have an attendance list. So don't worry too much about that. Okay. I'm a young fundraising professional. Is it common for professionals in their 20s? Awesome question. We have seen a very big uptick in people earning their CFRE earlier in their career. A lot of people, since I've been here in the last 5 years, in their late 20s and early 30s have pursued their credential versus before. Because as long as you've met the requirements, right, especially that 3 out of the last 5 years, you can go ahead and submit your application. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get back to our slides here. All right, the exam. If you feel nervous to take an exam, put your hand up. It's okay. No one will see you. It's all right. We're going to talk about the exam, and hopefully you're going to feel really good about it by the end of this. We offer the exam in 4 test windows every year. So it's not offered every day of the year. And you can see the test windows here on the screen. So if you want to take the exam, let's say in May of this year, you need to get your application in by April 15th. The first day of the test window is the deadline, right? So submit your application and then you can take your exam in that window if you want. Once your application has been approved, you're going to have up to 1 year to take the exam. All right, so today is February 2nd. If you had your application approved today, you would have until February 1 of next year to take the exam. So you've got up to a year to take the exam. When you submit your application, you do need to tell us the test window that you want to sit in, but you don't have to tell us the exact date, right? Because you might be waiting for your schedule to shake out, but you do need to commit to a test window. The exam covers 6 knowledge domains, which Judy alluded to earlier, and we're very transparent about what is on the exam and what it's asking you. You'll see here on your screen that securing the gift and relationship building make up almost half the exam. These are areas that you want to feel very confident in your knowledge about, right? You do not want to cut corners studying in general, but you absolutely want to make sure you're devoting enough time to securing the gift and relationship building. We made some updates to the test content outline. The test content outline is really the Bible of the exam, the blueprint of it. Don't worry about it. If you haven't, I doubt anyone has started studying for the exams. Most folks today have not yet begun their application, but just know if you look at materials from last year, they're not that different. There was a slight drop in volunteer involvement questions and a minor uptick in current prospective donor research. All right, so this is the test content outline. This is the blueprint of the exam, and we have it on our website. It's a PDF. What you do is you print it off and you take a highlighter and you highlight all of the bullet points that you don't feel confident you could answer an exam question on or that you have not personally worked in. This is going to help you determine where you're going to study because you don't want to waste time studying something you know inside out, right? So this is where you do that assessment of your skill set and determine what you need to brush up on. Once you've determined that, you'll see we have a resource reading list. And if you look at your screen, you'll see it says KD1 right through KD6. These are the different knowledge domains. And we will tell you on our website which books ladder up to which knowledge domains. The 3 you see at the top of your screen here, these are all comprehensive texts. Excellence in Fundraising in Canada is a really popular option for Canadian fundraising professionals to use. The exam has 200 questions and it's multiple choice, which is rad because you're not being asked to write any essays, you're not filling in any blanks without options, right? The correct answer is on this exam and it's staring back at you. There are 4 answer options per question. And we're looking for the best answer, which is the best practice. This is really important to keep in mind because a big error that people make on the exam is they answer it for how their organization would do it. If your organization, for whatever reason, is not following best practice, that's not going to serve you well. You want to be thinking of what is the ethical best practice as you move through this exam. All right, now, good news for you. You have 4 hours to take the exam. And last year, the average length of time it took people was 2 hours and 45 minutes. We are very generous with the amount of time that you have on the exam. So don't feel like you're going to be rushed and you're only going to be halfway through with 10 minutes left on the clock. Everything on the exam ties back to that test content outline, so nothing will come out of left field. You can move backwards and forwards in the exam. So if question 90 jogs your memory about question 11, you can go back. The score range is 200 to 800 and 500 is the passing score. It's a firm 500. So if you get a 499, unfortunately, it's not going to work. And we have more information about how the exam is scored on our website. All right, and now we're going to hear from Judy about how she prepared for the exam.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ashley. Well, I shared with you earlier a lot of benefits about becoming a CFRE, but I have to say that it actually take a quite a few preparation for the exam, as well as to just get ready for exam. So number one, I would say a correct mindset. So for those of us are getting ready, we're registered, we're not registered yet for your CFRE, we're already in this profession for 5, 10, perhaps 15, 30 years. We, the last, do you remember last time we were in the exam room? Probably not. For me, it was a long time. So, when we're thinking about exam, yeah, it could be, is it different? Is it in person? I haven't read exam for a while. But, for me, I actually on the other side, which is I thought, yeah, it's okay. I just finished my MBA. I was in exam room for not long ago. I don't need to study. But then it turns out it's actually not that great. So I would say definitely to have your correct mindset, where to get yourself ready and get yourself ready to write an exam in an exam environment. And secondly, study materials. So as Ashley mentioned earlier, on CFRE International website, there's a list of study materials. Like, you don't have to read every single book, and it's not possible. I think it's like 40 or 50 books there. But for me, I chose 2 books, one to cover all knowledge domains. I actually have it with me today. So this is I guess the older version of Achieving Excellence in Fundraising. So this is a really helpful textbook where it covers all knowledge domain. And then for my second book, I actually chose a domain that I'm not that familiar with at that time, which is talk about database and, Blackbaud, online giving. So that's another book that I chose based on my area that I need more study and more development. So like I said, you don't have to have all the books, but you do need to have one book that, in my personal opinion, you do need to have one book that covers all domain area, because, like we mentioned earlier, CFRE is about a best practice. Even though you have worked in all different areas in fundraising, but sometimes you do need a reminder, you do need to read about best practice. And study partners. So, one of my, I guess, tips or tricks that where I feel really lucky and appreciate that I have study partners. I started my study when the world shut down, when COVID-19 kicked in, and were not able to see each other in person. So through AFP, through CFRE, even through social media, I'm be able to connect with CFRE candidates around the world. Some of my partners are from California. I'm in Vancouver, BC. Some of my partners are from California, some from Toronto. So we just decided to, just secure a time, regardless in a PST or Eastern time. We just secure a time, and then we study together and we commit to that time. So really, my partners then is really helpful, because I feel like when you're talking about the domains, when you're talking about those study points, it's different than you just read them from your book, or it's different that when you're just thinking on your own. So definitely discussion, or having a conversation with your partner. And even sometimes at the end of the preparation, we even each pick a domain and we made presentation like this to each other, so that to be sure that we understand all the knowledge domains and all the knowledge points as well. Thank you, Ashley.
Got to unmute myself. That's excellent information, Judy. Thanks so much for sharing that. And if people have questions for Judy, you can always put those through the chat too, or the question pane. So we're going to look at a practice question. This question is not on the live exam. This is taken from a practice exam. When a donor wishes to make a planned gift / bequest to the endowment fund, the fundraising officer should first, 1, offer to contact the donor's financial organization and advisor. 2, explore what the donor wishes to accomplish with the gift. 3, identify and share with the donor the organization's future needs. Or 4, introduce the donor to various plan giving options. So I'm going to give everybody a second to get the answer going in their mind. All right. And the correct answer is Explore what the donor wishes to accomplish with the gift, right? You want the donor to come to you with what their philanthropic intention is. You don't want to steer them towards one thing or another because, your boss says, oh, we have like a shortfall and people leaving bequests for thing X, in your next conversation, and make sure that you kind of guide people towards that, right? That's not ethical. You want the donor to come to you. We do have a study plan template for free on our website. If you are not good at making or keeping schedules like myself, this is really helpful. It breaks down week by week what you're going to do and how you'll study. So this is a free PDF you can get off CFRE.org. We also offer 2 study tools for a fee. And I want to say firstly, you do not have to buy these. People pass the exam all the time and don't use either of these, but I just want you to know that they're there. One is the practice exam. This has over 300 questions in it. The question we just looked at is from that practice exam, and some of them are retired questions from the live exam. And you will go online and take it. It will show you what you got right and what you got wrong so that you know where to focus your study time. It's also useful if it's been a minute since you took an exam and you just have really bad nerves about it and you want to kind of take that test anxiety edge off. The second tool we have is the CFRE Exam Compass Study Guide. This is available as an ebook or in a hard copy format. And this also has practice questions, but it's much more about inventorying your knowledge. So if you have trouble looking at that test content outline and thinking, how do I know what I don't know? Both of these tools will help with that. Now, you have 2 options for how you take the exam. One is from your home or office, or in a Pearson VUE test center. Pearson VUE is our test partner, and they're one of these companies you've never heard of, but they're everywhere. Go to the test center. All of our data supports that you have a higher chance of passing the exam in the test center, because the test center is designed to be a distraction-free area and your home is not. So go to the test center. On your screen here, you'll see I've gone to pearsonvue.com/CFRE, and this is where you put in your postal code, and then it will populate a map for you of all of the test centers near you. So you can go to pearsonvue.com/CFRE, put in your postal code, and it's going to show you this map plus this list down the side. The structure of the exam is 200 questions, like I said, but you don't take all 200 questions in one go. So how it works is this. You're given the first 100 questions and you can move around back and forth in them, whatever, you're going to answer those 100 questions. Once those are done, there's going to be a box that pops up that asks if you want to start your 10-minute break. When you're ready, you'll click that box, and that break is your opportunity to use the restroom, have a snack, take any medications, anything you need to do away from your computer, right? And this is just your own 10-minute break. Once that break ends, you will be shown the second set of 100 questions 101 through 200. But you cannot return to the first 100 questions, right? They're locked and loaded once that break starts, because for exam security, they don't want people looking something up and then going back to those first 100 set of questions, right? And changing an answer. So we do take the exam security very seriously. Once you finish, within 1 business day, you'll get a confirmation email from us and you'll have your score within 48 hours. It's usually a lot faster, but that's the longest it can take. Within a week, you get your digital badge, and at the end of the test window, so remember we looked at those 4 test windows, we mail all of the certificates in a batch at the end of the window. So just know that it may take up to 2 months for your certificate to hit the mail, depending on when you pass the exam. Now, if you're unsuccessful on the exam, and I don't want people to focus on this because I think people get really hung up on this version of this story they tell themselves about being unsuccessful in the exam, and we really should focus on your success and all of the great things that will come to you when you become a CFRE and you pass, right? But should you be unsuccessful, there is a 30-day wait period until you can take the exam again. There's a $375 retake fee. I made this presentation in Austin, Texas, in person, and a man came up to me afterwards and he said, Ashley, this whole thing is so expensive. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, it's going to cost me over $1,000 to do this. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, it's $700 for the application and $375 to retake the exam. I said, well, if you study properly, you don't have to worry about the retake fee, right? It's a high fee because you want to pass and become a CFRE the first time. We want you to pass and become a CFRE the first time. So let that retake fee be a great motivator to you to really buckle down and study, study, study. There's a maximum of 3 attempts on one application. This has happened like a handful of times in the 5 years I've been here, so don't sweat that. Now, we talked about why CFREs command so much of a higher salary. They get calls from recruiters, and a big reason is because of recertification. You have to recertify every 3 years to keep your CFRE current, right? And this is a big point of differentiation versus going on a certificate or a diploma course. If you go on a certificate course in 2014 and you get your certificate, okay, it's 2023. How out of date is that information? How much has the world changed since then, right? But recertifying keeps you current. We have 2 people who became CFREs in 1981 that are still CFREs. Think if they had never done another drop of professional development since 1981, right? That'd be pretty scary. So that's why recertification is so important, and it helps you command that extra gravitas and the salary boost, right? There's no exam. So once you pass the exam, as long as you don't lapse, you'll never have to think about that thing again, right? And the cost to recertify is $408 US if you're a member of a participating organization. Now, when you become a CFRE, you know in 3 years that this is coming. So get this built into your next employment contract. When you're at your next job or you're interviewing and you're negotiating and they give you, that first draft of the offer, say, look, in whatever year, I want you to pay for my recertification. A lot of people do that. It's not out of bounds to do that. And honestly, I always say that's a really great test to give any potential employer to see if they value professional development, right? Because if they won't agree to pay for that, they may not agree to pay for much else, right? Because everybody knows you don't really know your employer until you start working there. Okay. Now, the requirements for recertification are on your screen here. And I want to just draw your attention to the professional practice. You need 30 points. So you've probably realized, okay, this means I need to work 30 months in a 3-year period. Right. So we allow, if you have 6 months that you take a career break, that you have a medical issue, whatever. I do want to point out, if you're on maternity leave for a year, you can contact us and you will not lose your CFRE over that. So if you're concerned about meeting the recertification requirements due to a maternity leave, just know you can contact us and you're not going to lose your CFRE over maternity leave. All right, and so we've got a lot of great questions that have come in. We're going to hear from Judy about her advice to get started, and then we're going to jump into some of these remaining questions. So Judy, would you like to come back and tell us your advice for anyone today that is thinking about becoming a CFRE?
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, it's great that, in the beginning poll, I've just realized and understand that 87 of us haven't submitted your application yet. So I would say, please, please, please don't wait until you're 100% ready and just submit your application now. I actually learned the hard way. I could earn my certification in 2018, not 2020, just because, I want to wait until, when I'm 100% ready, when my kids are all in school, I have time to study. No, trust me, you're not going to be 100% ready until you schedule an exam day, until your application is in. like Ashley mentioned earlier, the application process is not just, yes, I want to take my exam. You need to accumulate your points. And for some of the professional performance or education, you're not sure. It's not a one-click process. It's actually a cumulative process that you need to put all the information in and see which area do I need more volunteer hours? Do I need more educational hours? Do I need more points on professional practice, right? So having, start your application would definitely start the process faster. The one thing I regret is I started too late, but I did it now. And, secondly, talk to your CFRE peers, talk to those, either on LinkedIn or around you, your colleagues who have done CFREs in their career, either recently or a long time ago, because you will hear different stories. So before I took my exam or before I even study, I talked to many people through AFP, my colleagues, and say, hey, how do you feel about CFRE? Is it easy? Is it hard? How did you study? So those tips and tricks will really help you, because I would say to you, this is the study process and exam. The entire accreditation process is not a cookie cutter process. So it really depends on your experience. It depends on your knowledge for all domains. And once again, it depends on the best practice. So the more people you talk to, the more input or tips and tricks you will get. And one thing that if you go on our website on CFRE International, you realize for around the world, we have CFRE ambassadors. Myself is the ambassador in BC. So for those of you who are, want to talk further one-on-one, we're volunteer our time, because I am really proud of this credential. I wanted to talk to you and share with you about my experience. And lastly, to make a study plan and follow through. So when I say study plan, it's not, I will get to it, is six domain or different knowledge level. I'll get to it next week, or I get to it next month. No, that's not going to work. So because it's a really systematic knowledge domain, you need to definitely set a set time, say every Monday, Wednesday evening, from 9, well, for me is after 9, because I need to put little one to sleep. So from 9 to 10 p.m., I'm going to designate that time, turn off my phone, turn off the social media, have close the door to study, to truly make a systematic study plan and follow through. And now that's the beauty of having a study buddy, where, if you're like, sometimes when you make a study plan for yourself, you don't have, it's okay, I'm tired today. But if you have a study buddy, there's another person or people or group are waiting for you to study together. And lastly, just when you're ready to, after your study, when you're ready to take your exam, I really say that if you're going to exam center, make sure that you visit a center before your exam, and also come early than your scheduled time. So just to get yourself familiar, because you will spend a long time. Ashley mentioned this 4 hours window. You don't have to spend 4 hours, but personally, I did sat there for 4 hours. So you wanted to be sure to around the environment, want to be sure about the room that you're going in, and get ready for the exam. So yeah, please don't wait. And for those of you who wanted to talk further, I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me, or connect or subscribe to our CFRE social media. Over to you, Ashley.
Thank you, Judy. Said perfectly. Excellent. So before I get into the next steps, I'm going to reopen this question pane, and let's take a look at what is on people's minds. Okay, so we've got one. Do LinkedIn learning courses pertaining to fundraising count towards education points? Yes, they do. So those education points, they can be recorded webinars, they can be webinars you attend live, they can be conferences. We looked at that slide that had the big long list of everything. So yes, those LinkedIn courses on fundraising, those would count, as would webinars from Charity Village, right? So anything on a fundraising topic that Charity Village is offering is going to qualify. Blackbaud, Razor's Edge training, those count. Someone's asked about a certificate of volunteer management. I can't really go through every individual kind of certificate, but if you have earned it within that last 5-year period, right, and it pertains to fundraising, it will qualify. Another question, I think this is around the funds raised section of the application. It's asking if grants count. Yep, if you are a grant writer and you write this amazing grant and it brings in $85,000, like, heck yeah, that's yours. Claim that money. Someone's asking about the AHP International Conference, if that assists with the CFRE. Yep, so fundraising education, right? AHP, AFP, CAGP, all of these places that provide great fundraising content. If you're on those courses, it's going to count for you. All right, and let's see. Okay, so is there somewhere to find other people to study with? Yes, if you go to the CFRE website, cfre.org, go to the study aid section, and we have a whole area of study groups. So there are some people who run free study groups online. There are some paid study groups that different chapters offer, but those are your best bet. A lot of times too, I'll see people on LinkedIn say, hey, I'm going to start studying for the CFRE next month. Anybody want to join me? And just put that call out to their network. Someone's asked here, if I'm in a small organization and only bring in small money, can I still get accredited? Yes, absolutely. We have that way that you can earn the professional performance points via communications and management projects. So you can absolutely meet that requirement if you're in a small organization. Do pledges count towards the professional performance target? So yes, they do count as long as you have everything in writing. You can't put in your application like, oh, Rod Stewart called me yesterday and said he's going to leave us $5 million in his will, right? There's got to be some kind of paper trail on that. It can't just, you get the picture. All right, and so that looks like, okay, we've got another one. Okay, how many points do we need again to get the accreditation? So there's the 3 application sections. So one is that education where you need 80 points, and that's what usually takes people the most time to get. I highly recommend go back through your calendar, your expense reports, your credit card receipts, search your inbox, look at all the education you've done going back to 2018 that you can locate, right? Don't let those previously earned points languish. You attended stuff, you worked hard, make it count, okay? And then be very judicious going forward. I recommend that you create a folder in your personal email, title it CFRE, and every time you register for something, for education, whatever, forward it to that folder and keep it there. That will be your source of truth, because let me tell you a very real problem that we have. People say, I'm ready to become a CFRE. I'm going to get into this application. And they've been at their job for a year and they realize all of the evidence of what they've been doing all those years is gone. It's in an Outlook from a previous employer that they're never going to get access to, right? Ensure that you're keeping your proof of attendance, whatever jogs your memory about what you attended, in a personal email that you will always have access to. Okay, so that's my long-winded answer to you need 80 education points. Then you need 36 professional practice, right? That's you working 36 months. And then you need 55 professional performance points. That's that 1.375 million US dollar amount. Okay. We've had a couple other things. Do gifts in kind count? Yes. A gift in kind can count, but it has to have the paperwork of what it's been assessed for, right? Somebody can't donate like a crummy watch and you're like, oh, I think this is worth $40,000, right? Like there's got to be a paper trail on that. And then someone's asked, in 2024, will education only count that is from 2019 forward? Yes, 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 yes. If you have a bunch of education or funds raised from 2018 that you want to have count on this application, you will need to submit your application before the year ends. So keep your 2018 points by submitting your application before 2023 ends. All right, so I'm going to get into some quick next steps here. Email me if you want that reminder email, share, S-H-A-R-E. Somebody once thought it was share, like the singer, so I always have to spell that out. So share, and I'll shoot you the reminder email when the applications are back up. Track everything. We talked about the personal email. Talk to your boss during budget creation. See if they'll give you some money towards it. You're a fundraiser. You know all about timing conversations and earning support. You are an expert in that, right? And you got a point today in the non-fundraising education section. So be sure that you log it. Don't lose this point. If any other questions come to mind, you can drop us a line anytime at succeed@cfre.org, and I will throw it back to Mercedes.
Thank you, Ashley and Judy, for such a great presentation. Do either of you have any final comments before we sign off today?
I just want to say best wishes for everyone and good luck.
Yeah, and I want to say you can do it. You might think, I don't know if I can do it, but you can do it.
Thank you. I would like to remind everyone that you will receive a follow-up email tomorrow with a link to the webinar recording. Please feel free to share this link with your colleagues. The email will also include a survey link, which you can fill out with your feedback on today's webinar. You should see a survey link pop up right here in Zoom following the session as well. On behalf of Charity Village, thank you so much for joining us today, and I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.